There's a moment right before sleep takes you. Your muscles soften, your breathing slows, your thoughts loosen their grip, and then your body jerks violently, like you just missed a step in the dark, like the ground disappeared beneath you, like you were falling from somewhere very high. But you weren't. You were just lying in your bed, and somehow your brain decided gravity was personal. If this has ever happened to you, you are not broken. You are not possessed. And no, your ancestors are not pushing you off invisible cliffs. Your nervous system just hit save file too aggressively. What you experienced has a name. It's called a hypnic jerk, or sleep start, and nearly 70% of adults experience it at least once in their lives. Some feel it once a month, some once a year, some every single night. The question is not whether it happens. The question is, why does your body think you're falling when you're not moving at all?
Okay, but let's be honest. That feeling is violent. You're peacefully drifting off, dreaming about something normal, and suddenly your body acts like you tripped over an invisible staircase. It's not cute. It's not gentle. It's like your nervous system said, "We forgot something. Panic." And then you're wide awake again, heart racing, eyes open, mad at the mattress.
Exactly. And what makes it worse is how real it feels. Your body reacts as if you were actually falling. Your muscles contract. Your heart rate spikes. Sometimes you even gasp. Some people report flashes of imagery like slipping, stumbling, or falling from a height. Your brain is running a simulation, and for a split second, it believes it.
Clarification. A hypnic jerk is an involuntary myoclonic contraction occurring during the transition from wakefulness to stage 1 non-REM sleep. It is neurologically benign. It does not indicate seizure disorder in otherwise healthy individuals. However, it does demonstrate something fascinating. Your brain and body do not fall asleep at the exact same speed.
That right there, that's the key. Your body relaxes faster than your brain expects. And your brain, which has spent your entire life keeping you upright and alive, interprets that sudden muscle relaxation as a loss of balance, which it interprets as falling. So it fires your muscles hard, like slamming the brakes. Your nervous system is not malfunctioning. It's overprotecting. Here's where it gets deeper. Hypnic jerks happen during the threshold, that fragile borderland between wake and sleep. And that borderland is chaotic. Your brainwaves shift from beta to alpha, from thinking to drifting. Muscle tone drops, breathing patterns change. Your sensory system starts shutting down, but not all at once, which means for a few seconds, you are neurologically in between worlds, and your brain hates ambiguity.
So basically, your brain sees you relaxing too hard and says, "Are we dying? Are we falling? Is this a threat?" and just launches you back online.
In simplified language, yes.
And this is where it becomes poetic. Your body is trying to protect you from sleep. Because to your ancient nervous system, sleep looks like vulnerability, and vulnerability looks like danger. So your body checks just once to make sure you're safe. Imagine early humans sleeping in trees or on open ground. Relax too much and you fall. Your nervous system evolved to prevent that. Even now, even in your climate-controlled bedroom, your body still runs ancient code, and sometimes it double checks. Evolution installed a "did we just fall off a cliff" update and never removed it.
Okay, but why does it sometimes feel like I'm literally falling into a black hole? That part feels dramatic.
Because during early sleep onset, the vestibular system becomes less synchronized with conscious perception. The brain may generate falling sensations due to altered sensory integration. In other words, you are not falling. Your sensory system is rebalancing.
And sometimes stress makes it worse. Caffeine increases it. Sleep deprivation increases it. Anxiety increases it. Because your nervous system is already on edge. So when your muscles relax suddenly, your brain interprets that drop in tone as suspicious and fires. This is why hypnic jerks are more common during periods of high stress, irregular sleep, excess caffeine, emotional overload. Your body is wired. When it tries to power down, it glitches, not dangerously, just loudly.
That makes sense, because mine happen way more when I'm stressed, or when I drink coffee at 7 p.m., pretending I'm invincible.
You are not invincible. You are caffeinated. Different thing.
Important distinction.
Now, here's what most people never hear. Hypnic jerks are normal, but they reveal something profound. Your brain is not a switch. Sleep is not an off button. It is a transition, a negotiation between consciousness and surrender. And sometimes that negotiation gets messy. Sleep is not something that happens to you. It is something your brain constructs, stage by stage, layer by layer. Your consciousness does not shut off. It reconfigures. And during that reconfiguration, there is a brief moment of neurological disagreement. That disagreement is where hypnic jerks live. When you begin falling asleep, your brain transitions from beta waves, fast, alert, syncing patterns, to alpha waves, relaxed, drifting, and then into theta waves, early sleep, imagery, dream fragments forming. This shift is not smooth. Different regions slow down at different speeds. Your motor cortex, your brainstem, your cerebellum, your thalamus, they are negotiating control. And sometimes the motor cortex fires one last signal before it powers down. That signal travels down your spinal cord, into your muscles, and your body jerks.
So, this is basically your brain saying, before I clock out, let me just test the system real quick. Like IT running one last diagnostic before shutting the building down.
Exactly. Your nervous system does not trust transitions. It prefers stability. When muscle tone suddenly drops, your brain interprets it as collapse. Not relaxation, collapse. And collapse equals threat. So it triggers a myoclonic contraction, fast, explosive, automatic.
The reticular activating system, located in the brainstem, regulates wakefulness. As it decreases activity, inhibitory signals increase throughout the cortex. If inhibitory timing and motor system timing are slightly misaligned, a hypnic jerk occurs. This is not malfunction. It is timing variability.
Timing variability. That's the phrase. Your brain is running two programs at once. Program A, power down. Program B, stay upright and alive. For a split second, both fire, and your muscles answer the louder one. Now let's talk about the falling sensation, because that's what unsettles people the most. Why falling? Why not floating? Why not spinning? Why not nothing? The answer lives in your vestibular system, that tiny but powerful system in your inner ear. It tracks motion, balance, spatial orientation. When you begin to sleep, muscle tone drops. Your body becomes still. Your vestibular system loses feedback. And your brain, deprived of normal signals, fills in the gap. It chooses the most evolutionarily urgent scenario, loss of height, falling, because historically, falling meant death. Your brain would rather falsely detect falling than miss a real fall. False alarm is safer than silence, and so you jolt. Your brain would rather embarrass you in front of your pillow than risk a prehistoric lawsuit.
Okay, but sometimes I feel like I actually see something when it happens. Like I trip in a dream or step off something. Is that normal?
Yes, During stage 1 sleep, the visual cortex begins spontaneous imagery production. These are called hypnagogic hallucinations. They are brief, non-psychotic, common. The falling imagery is a predictive interpretation layered over muscular sensation.
Translation: your brain builds a quick story to match the body movement. Your muscles fire. Your brain says, "Why did that happen?" And in milliseconds, it generates, "You are falling," so it feels real. Because the brain hates unexplained motion. Now let's talk chemistry, because neurotransmitters matter here. As you fall asleep, dopamine fluctuates, GABA increases, serotonin shifts, norepinephrine decreases. Your brain is chemically rebalancing, and dopamine especially plays a role in motor control. Sudden dopamine changes can increase involuntary muscle contractions. This is why hypnic jerks are more common when you are overstimulated, you are anxious, you are sleep deprived, you consume caffeine late, because your neurotransmitters are unstable. Now here is an important distinction. Hypnic jerks are common, but not all nighttime movements are hypnic jerks. If movements happen repeatedly throughout the night, if they are accompanied by loss of consciousness, that could indicate periodic limb movement disorder or seizure activity. Those are different. Hypnic jerks happen once, at sleep onset, and then they stop.
So if it only happens right when I'm falling asleep, I'm fine?
In the absence of other neurological symptoms, yes.
And that reassurance matters, because many people experience a hypnic jerk and immediately assume stroke, seizure, heart issue, spiritual disturbance. But in healthy adults, it is simply a transitional reflex, your nervous system recalibrating. Now let's address something subtle. Some people experience hypnic jerks more during emotional transitions. Grief, change, stress, life instability. Why? Because sleep is surrender, and surrender is hardest when your nervous system does not feel safe. Your body resists letting go, so it startles you awake. Just in case, we're not emotionally stable enough to log off yet.
That part feels real. When I'm stressed, I almost fight sleep, like my body doesn't want to shut down.
Because vigilance feels protective, and sleep feels like exposure. Your brain evolved in environments where sleeping deeply could cost you your life. So if stress levels are high, your brain double checks, and sometimes triple checks. The hypnic jerk is not random. It is protective. It is ancestral. It is your nervous system refusing to fully surrender without confirmation. You are safe. You are grounded. You are not falling from a tree. But your brain still runs survival software, and sometimes it presses refresh. For most people, a hypnic jerk is occasional, a strange interruption, a one-off jolt. But for some, it becomes nightly, predictable, anticipated. And that anticipation changes everything. Because once your brain learns the pattern, it starts expecting it. And expectation creates tension. You lie down, you close your eyes, and instead of drifting, you wait. For the jerk, for the fall, for the shock. Your muscles tighten preemptively, your breathing stays shallow, and suddenly, sleep becomes performance. Nothing ruins relaxation like preparing for a surprise attack for your own thigh muscle.
Okay, this is me sometimes. I'll be almost asleep, and I think, don't jerk, don't, and then I jerk, which feels personal. Like my nervous system heard me.
That's not coincidence. It's conditioning. Your brain links the bed with the jolt with alertness with survival, and suddenly sleep onset becomes a monitored event. This is called anticipatory arousal. Your nervous system stays slightly activated, just enough, to fire again.
The amygdala, which processes threat detection, becomes more active during stress. If sleep onset is paired repeatedly with a startle response, the brain encodes the transition as uncertain. Uncertainty sustains vigilance. Vigilance delays sleep, and delayed sleep increases hypnic jerks. This is a feedback loop.
A loop. And loops feel inescapable, but they are not permanent. Let me tell you about someone we'll call Danielle. Danielle was 34, high-performing, driven, constantly multitasking. She started experiencing hypnic jerks every night. At first, she ignored them. Then she Googled them. That made it worse. She started fearing seizure disorders, then heart arrhythmias, then neurological disease. Her anxieties spiked, and so did the jerks. Not because her brain was damaged, but because her nervous system was overloaded. Her body wasn't malfunctioning, it was overstimulated. Danielle thought something was wrong with her brain. What was wrong was her rest. She was running on 5 hours of sleep, 3 cups of coffee, constant mental output, and 0 wind-down routine. Her nervous system never shifted gears, so when it tried to downshift abruptly, it jolted. Once she adjusted 3 things: reduced evening caffeine, added a consistent wind-down ritual, practiced slow breathing before bed, her hypnic jerks reduced dramatically. Not because they were cured, but because her nervous system felt safer. Your brain doesn't need a motivational speech before bed. It needs dim lighting and boundaries.
So we can actually reduce them? We're not just at the mercy of our prehistoric wiring.
You can reduce frequency. You cannot eliminate biology, but you can calm it. Here's what research supports. 1. Consistent sleep schedule. 2. Limiting caffeine 6 to 8 hours before bed. 3. Reducing screen stimulation. 4. Progressive muscle relaxation. 5. Slow diaphragmatic breathing. Because the smoother the transition, the fewer abrupt misfires.
Evidence indicates that sleep onset stability reduces hypnic jerk frequency. Interventions that regulate autonomic nervous system tone decrease motor startle probability. Translation: calm body, calmer transitions.
There's another layer we rarely talk about. Some hypnic jerks are accompanied by a sudden fear, a flash of dread, a momentary drop in the stomach. That isn't supernatural, it's adrenaline. Your body briefly activates the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, then shuts it off, which is why your heart races for a second, then settles. It feels dramatic, because adrenaline is dramatic, but it is brief, and it passes. Now here's the part I want you to hear clearly. Hypnic jerks are not weakness. They are not instability. They are not spiritual disturbance. They are not evidence you are too anxious. They are evidence that your nervous system is active, protective, alert, sometimes too alert, but not broken.
That part feels important, because when it happens repeatedly, you start wondering what's wrong with you.
Exactly. And your nervous system responds to that wondering. Stress increases frequency. Frequency increases stress. Loop. But loops can be interrupted, not with force, with rhythm, routine, reassurance. You can't bully your brain into relaxing. It will simply schedule a meeting about it.
Correction: it will schedule multiple meetings.
And here's something beautiful. The same brain that startles you also protects you, also heals you, also dreams for you. It is not your enemy. It is overachieving. The hypnic jerk is not chaos. It is a checkpoint, a nervous system whisper that says, "Are we safe?" And when the answer is yes, sleep continues. Whenever something happens in the body that we do not understand, we give it meaning. Sometimes spiritual meaning, sometimes symbolic meaning, sometimes fear. A sudden jolt during sleep feels mysterious. It happens in darkness, at the edge of consciousness, in that fragile space between control and surrender. And humans do not like unexplained interruptions. So across cultures, people have asked, what is that? Some have called it a spirit entering the body. Some have called it the soul returning from wandering. Some have called it a warning. But the brain does not require mythology to explain this one. It requires timing. Your nervous system is dramatic. It is not prophetic.
Okay, but you have to admit, when it happens, it feels deep, like you almost left your body for a second, or almost slipped somewhere. It feels bigger than a muscle twitch.
Of course it does, because it interrupts surrender, and surrender is vulnerable. When your muscles go limp, your breathing shifts, your mind loosens. There is a brief moment where you are not fully in control, and the hypnic jerk snaps you back. So psychologically, it feels like rescue, or interruption, or protection, because that's exactly what it is neurologically.
The sensation of almost leaving the body occurs during sleep onset because sensory processing decreases before self-awareness fully disengages. This creates dissociation-like perception. It is common. It is non-pathological. It is transitional neurobiology.
We are meaning-making creatures, but sometimes the most powerful explanation is the simplest one. Your body relaxed. Your brain misinterpreted it. It corrected. End of story. Now let's talk about falling dreams, because hypnic jerks and falling dreams often get linked together. You may jerk and then dream that you stepped off a curb, or missed a stair, or fell from somewhere high. Falling dreams are among the most common dream themes worldwide, and psychologically, people interpret them as loss of control, instability, fear of failure, change. But neurologically, they are predictable sensory artifacts. When the vestibular system destabilizes during sleep onset, the brain builds a narrative. Falling is the fastest narrative. Here is something subtle. We often assume that if something feels symbolic, it must be symbolic. But the brain is efficient. It fills gaps quickly. If your muscles fire suddenly and your inner ear loses orientation, falling is the cleanest explanation. No spiritual invasion required. No cosmic message. Just predictive processing. Your brain does not send omens at 11:47 p.m. It sends electrical impulses.
You are ruining someone's dramatic bedtime story right now.
I am replacing it with something better. Understanding. Because here's the truth. The hypnic jerk is not a sign you are unstable. It is a sign that your nervous system is cautious. And caution kept your ancestors alive.
The human nervous system prioritizes false positives over false negatives. It is better to detect danger when none exists than to miss real danger once. Hypnic jerks represent that bias. Ancestral risk management.
And that changes the meaning completely. The jolt is not a flaw. It is a relic. A protective reflex in a world where you no longer sleep in trees. You no longer guard against predators. But your nervous system remembers. Your body remembers, even if your mind does not. And maybe that is the most humbling part. Your body is older than your environment, older than your bedroom, older than your mattress, older than your calendar. It runs survival code written thousands of years ago. And sometimes that code activates, just to be sure.
So basically, my brain is overqualified for modern life.
Yes, and under-updated. Your nervous system still thinks Wi-Fi is a predator.
Assessment. Accurate metaphor.
Now, here's something powerful. When people understand hypnic jerks, they experience fewer of them. Not because knowledge rewires the reflex instantly, but because fear decreases, and fear fuels activation. Understanding calms the loop, which brings us to the final layer. What does it mean to let go? The hypnic jerk is not the problem. The fear of it is. The anticipation of it, the story we build around it. Your body startles, and your mind asks, "What was that?" But if you already know the answer, your body does not escalate. It resets and continues. When we fall asleep, we are practicing surrender. Every single night, we release control of our muscles, our awareness, our vigilance. And surrender feels unsafe to a system built on survival. So your brain checks just once. Are we safe? And when the answer is yes, it lets go. Your nervous system just wanted a confirmation email before logging off.
That reframes it completely. It's not my body betraying me. It's my body protecting me. Just a little too enthusiastically sometimes.
Exactly. And the way forward is not fighting it. It is smoothing the transition. Let's make this practical. If hypnic jerks bother you frequently, try this. Dim lights 1 hour before bed. Stop caffeine at least 6 hours prior. Slow breathing. Inhale 4, exhale 6. Progressive muscle relaxation. Consistent sleep schedule. The goal is not perfection. It is predictability. Because the nervous system relaxes into rhythm.
When autonomic tone stabilizes, sleep transitions become smoother. Muscle tone decreases gradually. Motor cortex firing reduces. Hypnic jerk probability declines. This is statistical likelihood, not promise. Biology remains variable, but safety increases stability.
And here's the deeper truth. Sometimes the hypnic jerk shows up when life feels unstable, when you're holding too much, thinking too much, carrying too much. Sleep requires trust, and trust requires safety. So if your body startles you awake, ask gently, what am I holding on to? Not in a mystical way, in a practical one. Are you overstimulated, overworked, underslept, overthinking? Because your body does not jerk randomly. It reacts to state. Now let's return to where we began. You're lying in bed, your muscles soften, your breath slows, and then a jolt. Instead of fear, imagine understanding. Instead of alarm, recognition. Instead of what's wrong with me, a simple answer. My brain is double checking, and I am safe. You are not falling into a void. You are falling into REM.
That needs to be on a pillow.
It probably should, because here is what I want you to remember. The hypnic jerk is brief. It is protective. It is ancient, and it is not dangerous. Your body knows how to sleep. It has done it thousands of nights before. Trust it. Smooth the transition and let go.
The body interrupts only when it is unsure. Provide reassurance, and it rests.
Sleep is not collapse. It is surrender. And surrender is safe. Good night.